She's not saying the words, but her body already has. And if you miss this moment, it won't come back the same way twice. Listen carefully because this is where most people get it wrong. They think desire is loud. They think it announces itself. They think intimacy shows up wearing obvious signals, like a sign on a door that says, "Come in." But real attraction doesn't work like that. Real attraction hides behind everyday behavior. It wears the costume of small things, and those small things, when you understand them, change how you see every interaction you've ever had. The first sign isn't about touch, it's about space. When a woman wants intimacy with you, she starts shrinking the distance between your worlds. Not just physically, but emotionally. She doesn't just stand closer, she lets you closer. Her stories get more personal, her tone gets softer, her pauses get longer. She isn't rushing to fill silence anymore because silence with you feels safe. Silence becomes a bridge instead of a wall. Watch how she reacts when the room gets quiet. If she doesn't escape it, if she leans into it, that's not accident. That's comfort mixed with curiosity. And comfort mixed with curiosity is the emotional doorway to intimacy. Here's the part nobody teaches you. This is not about confidence tricks or clever lines. It's about whether she feels seen instead of judged. When she wants intimacy, she starts revealing pieces of herself that she normally keeps locked. Frustrations, fears, small insecurities disguised as jokes. She's testing something very specific. Can you hold this without trying to fix it? Can you hear it without using it? Most people fail right here. They rush to advice. They rush to solutions. They rush to show strength. But intimacy doesn't grow from strength. It grows from presence, from staying with what she says instead of running away from it. You'll notice her questions change too. They stop being polite and start being personal, not invasive, but intentional. She wants to know how you think, not just what you do. She listens differently. Her eyes don't scan the room while you talk. They stay, they settle, they study. That's not boredom. That's interest. That's waking up. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When this sign appears, timing matters. If you ignore it, she won't repeat it louder. She'll pull it back. People don't keep offering emotional closeness when it isn't recognized. They close the door quietly and call it being busy. They change tone and pretend nothing shifted, but something did. This is why so many people say, "I don't know what went wrong." What went wrong was invisible. It was missed. It was a moment when closeness was offered and not met. So if you ever feel like someone is letting you into their inner world instead of just their schedule, pay attention. That's not random. That's not friendship by default. That's attraction choosing a safer language before it chooses a physical one. And the danger isn't misreading it. The danger is treating it casually, because when emotional doors open, they don't stay open forever. They wait for awareness. They wait for maturity. They wait for someone who understands that intimacy always begins in the mind before it ever reaches the body. The second sign is more dangerous than the first because it hides inside behavior that looks ordinary. It's how she touches the moment instead of touching you. When intimacy is forming, she doesn't reach for your body right away. She reaches for your attention and keeps it there. She finds reasons to stay in your orbit. She stretches time. A quick conversation turns into an hour. A simple message turns into a thread. A goodbye turns into one more thing. This isn't coincidence. This is psychological proximity. She's practicing being with you before she's with you. You'll see it in how she reacts to your presence. Her energy doesn't spike like nervous excitement. It settles like something that fits. She becomes more expressive, not louder, more playful, not dramatic. Her humor changes. It becomes teasing instead of neutral. Not cruel teasing, personal teasing, the kind that only works when someone feels close enough to risk being misunderstood. Here's the subtle part. She starts mirroring you, not copying you like a parrot, but syncing with you. If you slow down, she slows down. If you soften your voice, she softens hers. If you lean in emotionally, she leans in too. Humans don't do this consciously. We do it when we feel connected and safe at the same time. Attraction alone creates tension. Safety alone creates comfort. But when both exist together, intimacy starts knocking. Watch how she reacts to small boundaries. If you say no to something minor, does she respect it without pulling away? That's huge. Because when a woman wants intimacy, she's paying attention to whether closeness will cost her dignity. She's asking without words, if I move closer, will I still be myself? This is where many people sabotage everything. They think intimacy means pressure. They think it means speed. They think it means proving something, but intimacy isn't built by taking. It's built by not taking too much. It grows when she feels like choosing you is still her choice. Another quiet signal is how she talks about other men, not to make you jealous, but to make something clear. Either she stops mentioning them altogether, or she describes them like background noise. When desire is forming, the emotional spotlight narrows. You don't hear comparisons, you hear absence. That absence isn't emptiness, it's focus. And then there's eye contact. Not the obvious staring kind, the kind that lingers half a second longer than necessary, the kind that shows up during laughter and doesn't leave immediately, the kind that checks your reaction after she says something risky. Eyes do that when someone wants to know, did that move us closer? What makes this sign powerful is that it feels natural while it's happening. You only recognize it later when it's gone. You realize the conversations aren't as long. The teasing disappears. The closeness becomes polite again. That's not randomness. That's withdrawal after unrecognized invitation. People think desire is aggressive. It isn't. It's patient. It waits to see if it's welcome. And when it isn't, it doesn't scream. It simply steps back and pretends it never showed up. So if you ever feel like someone is lingering in your space without a reason, stretching time without a purpose, and syncing with you without trying, don't assume it's meaningless. Meaning doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just sits beside you and waits to be noticed. The third sign is the one that scares people the most because it feels like vulnerability. When a woman wants intimacy with you, she doesn't just open up. She watches what you do with what she opens. This is where desire and trust start sharing the same space. You'll notice her behavior shift when something emotional appears. Maybe she talks about a hard day. Maybe she admits confusion. Maybe she shows frustration without hiding it behind humor. This isn't weakness, it's an experiment. She's placing something fragile between you and waiting to see if you step on it or protect it. If she wanted only attention, she'd keep it light. If she wanted only validation, she'd keep it flattering. But when intimacy is forming, the conversation gains weight, not drama depth. She lets you see her when she's not performing. And here's the part most people misunderstand. She may test you by pulling back right after opening up, not to manipulate, but to measure safety. If you chase too hard, she feels pressured. If you disappear, she feels exposed. What she's watching for is steadiness, not intensity. Steadiness says you can come closer without losing yourself. Another signal shows up in how she allows you into her routines, not her schedule, her habits, the small rituals, morning messages, late night check-ins, sharing moments that don't look impressive but feel personal. When someone lets you into their ordinary world, that's intimacy before touch. That's saying, this is where I live emotionally. You're allowed here. Her body language will start reflecting comfort rather than display. She won't sit stiff. She'll sit naturally. She won't guard her posture. She'll turn toward you without thinking about it. Feet, shoulders, and attention align in your direction. These aren't tricks. They're unconscious signals of where the mind feels drawn. Listen to how she uses your name. When intimacy grows, your name becomes warmer in her mouth, softer, more intentional. Names carry meaning when emotions are attached to them. It's not about frequency, it's about tone. You might also notice something else. She starts remembering things you didn't think mattered, a detail from weeks ago, a preference you mentioned casually, a story you told once. Memory is emotional currency. We remember what we care about. Forgetting is neutral. Remembering is selective. But the most important part of this sign is how she reacts to your honesty. When you share something real, does she lean in or shut down? If she mirrors your openness instead of avoiding it, that's not coincidence, that's resonance. Two inner worlds recognizing each other. And this is where the risk appears. Because intimacy isn't guaranteed just because signs show up. It still needs response. It needs emotional leadership, not dominance, direction. Someone has to acknowledge what's happening without crushing it. You don't do that with pressure. You do it with clarity, with calm presence, with respect that doesn't freeze into distance. If you've ever felt someone get close, then slowly drift away without explanation. It wasn't random, it was uncompleted connection. A door that opened but never got a knockback. And people don't keep doors open when nobody enters. Now comes the part nobody wants to hear. Recognizing the signs is useless if you don't know how to respond to them. Intimacy doesn't collapse because people are blind. It collapses because people panic. They either rush forward or retreat behind jokes and distance. Both kill momentum. When a woman wants intimacy with you, she's not asking for perfection. She's asking for emotional reliability. Can you stay grounded when the moment gets charged? Can you speak without hiding? Can you move forward without pushing? This is the balance most people never learn. The response that keeps intimacy alive is simple but uncomfortable. You acknowledge closeness without demanding more of it. You don't pretend nothing is happening. You don't act like it's a game. You don't drown it in strategy. You stay present and honest. Presence says, I see what's forming. Honesty says, I'm not afraid of it. This is where tone matters more than words. If you become overly serious, you create pressure. If you become sarcastic, you create distance. The sweet spot is calm confidence, not boldness, not hesitation. Calm confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself because it already knows what it's feeling. People think intimacy requires big moves. It doesn't. It requires small truths at the right time. A look that doesn't run. A sentence that doesn't hide. A pause that doesn't apologize. These are not dramatic acts. They are human ones. And humans recognize them instinctively. There is also something else happening beneath all of this. Fear on both sides. Fear of misreading. Fear of rejection. Fear of ruining something good. That fear is what turns signals into confusion. It's what makes people wait too long or move too fast. But fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal that something meaningful is at stake. If you handle these moments with respect, something powerful happens. She doesn't feel chased. She doesn't feel ignored. She feels chosen. And being chosen without being cornered is the emotional foundation of intimacy. You don't need to label it. You don't need to escalate it instantly. You just need to stop pretending it's nothing. Acknowledge the connection in how you speak, how you listen, how you hold eye contact, and how you don't rush the outcome. Desire grows when it's given room to breathe. Here's the harsh truth most people avoid. Not every sign leads to intimacy, but every real chance dies when it's mishandled, and mishandling usually looks like pretending you don't see what you clearly feel. So the next time someone lets you closer than usual, stretches time with you, opens something personal in your presence, don't act like it's random. Don't turn it into a performance. Don't reduce it to a trick. Treat it like what it is, a moment where two inner worlds are deciding whether to touch. That's not about conquest. That's about connection. And connection, when handled with awareness, becomes intimacy without force and desire without damage. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever realized too late that someone wanted closeness with you? Or have you been the one who pulled back when you weren't met? Tell your story in the comments. If this opened your eyes even a little, hit like, subscribe for more psychology like this, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it before they miss their moment.